Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the JeaFx Trading Thoughts podcast. This is a weekly series where I talk about technical, fundamental, and psychological aspects of trading to help you in your journey. The topic of today's podcast is: should you trade for a prop firm? So we're going to talk through what a prop firm is, I'm going to talk through the benefits and the drawbacks, and then give you my verdict on whether or not you should trade with a prop firm or just use your own capital. So let's get into it. First of all then, what is a prop firm? Well, a prop firm is a proprietary trading firm, and basically these are companies that will provide you with capital to trade, and if you can prove that you can trade, they will give you money and they'll give you a split of the profits that you make with the money when you're trading. Proprietary trading firms have popped up a lot in the past few years and become a very, very common and popular way to start trading. There are benefits and there are drawbacks, but generally the idea is these guys will give you money to trade with so long as you can prove you can trade. And when you make money, you'll get to keep a profit split, which nowadays is usually between 70 and 90%. So on the surface, it sounds like a great idea, but obviously there will be drawbacks and there will be benefits as well. And that's what we're going to do in this podcast, talk through all of that. So first of all, let's dive into some of the benefits of trading with a prop firm. Now, the first and biggest one is going to be that there's such a low barrier to entry. It's no secret that trading takes money, and in order to trade large capital, you have to have large capital. If you want to make a living, you probably need $100,000 plus, or you're not going to be making a whole lot of money. Now, saving $100,000 is not the easiest thing to do, and 99% of people will not have $100,000 set aside to just trade with and to risk in the markets. So prop firms can actually allow you an entry into the markets with a very small amount of capital. It's actually possible to achieve $100,000 in funding with maybe $200 if you can pass the challenges and prove that you can trade. So the barrier to entry is massively lowered when you actually work with a funding company because you don't need loads of money to start with. You don't have to risk massive amounts of your own capital. All you have to do is learn a system, prove that you can trade, and then pass their challenge, which usually has a small, and by the way, usually refundable, entry fee. So the barrier to entry is now massively lowered, which is obviously very beneficial for the majority of traders who do not have massive capital. This is one of the biggest benefits because if you are just getting into trading, and let's say you work a job or you're in an unfavorable economic country where you don't have big wages and you don't have a lot of savings, it's going to be a lot easier for you to actually enter the world of trading profitably using a funding company than it is trading with your own, for example, $100 or $1,000 account. Being able to just save a couple of $100 and then go for a funding company challenge is definitely going to be a lot easier than saving up $100,000, which for a lot of people could take years and years. Now, one of the other benefits of trading with a prop firm is that it builds your discipline and builds your skill. It forces you to be disciplined and it forces you to trade well. The reason being, you have to pass an entry challenge to get in. This usually consists of making a set amount of profit within a time span. So for example, they may want you to make 8% profit in 30 days. Now, generally for me, I think this is quite a push to try and get you in. To be honest, it's very difficult to achieve 8% in the 30 days when you have those rules against you. But it's doable. I've done it many times and I know many others who have done it as well. So if you can actually achieve that target, you will get in. But what that target causes you to do and forces you to do is trade very well, manage your risk well, and because you have risk limits as well, you can't just gamble. Chances are if you gamble it, you're going to lose the account and then you'll lose your money. So when you're trading with a prop firm, you have to trade well. You have risk limits, you have drawdown rules that are going to stop you out and close your account when you hit a certain amount of drawdown, which usually ranges from 5 to 10% of the account. So you are forced to trade well and you're forced to manage risk and you're forced to actually be disciplined with the trades that you choose to take. When you're on personal funds, it's easier to slip up and go crazy. The reason being is no one is there to hold you accountable and you're still not going to lose your account, or you may lose your account, but you don't have that idea in place that if you hit this certain amount of drawdown, you'll get it taken off you. You can simply run it to zero, which obviously is pretty bad, not ideal, and that is one of the other reasons why funding companies are good, because you can't burn down your entire personal account. You only have at risk the amount of money you paid for the challenge. But back to the discipline and skill point, it's going to give you a kind of mental barrier that makes you be disciplined and makes you trade skillfully. So it will actually improve your skills as a trader and make you a better trader in the long run, trading with a prop firm that has that accountability aspect to it that personal accounts just don't have. So one of the other benefits of a prop firm is actually related to tax. Now, when you are trading on personal funds, you are double taxed essentially. You are taxed in making those funds initially. Now, obviously, this won't apply to everyone. If you have people in, for example, Dubai or other areas where the tax rates are very, very low or zero, this isn't going to bother you. But for the majority of us, we get to avoid the double tax rule when we trade with prop firm funds. So if we are trading with our personal funds, let's say we have a $100,000 account. In order to get that $100,000, we had to earn it, which generally means we probably pay tax on that $100,000 in profit. So for us to get our $100,000, we have had to pay tax on that amount. So let's say we may have made $140,000 or $150,000 in order to just get that 100 in the account. Now, the problem then lies when we trade this $100,000. If we make profit, we are then liable to pay tax again on the profits. So this is not really ideal because we obviously pay one set of taxes to get the money. Then we have to pay taxes on all of the money we earn through this way. This is one of the benefits with prop firms. You obviously didn't earn the first amount of money, so you don't have to get double taxed. You don't have to pay the massive taxes on the first load. You only pay taxes on the profits that you make. Now, there are also tax drawbacks, which we will talk about very soon, but those are the benefits in terms of taxing. And one of the final key reasons why prop firms are beneficial is the competitive profit splits. With so many prop firms coming up now, it is a bit of a minefield. You need to make sure you choose a good one. Some recommendations from me would be FTMO, MyForex funds. I think the funded trader is a good one as well. And then we also have long-standing ones like the 5%ers. I've never personally done an account with them, but they have a very lenient way of getting into the challenge, which is probably actually the best laid out in terms of realistic trading. But the leverage on the accounts and the reward on the accounts, I believe, is not quite as good as some of those FTMO or MyForex funds type prop firms. Now, because there are so many prop firms, they are all getting very competitive with each other. What this means is they are obviously giving you better conditions to trade under because they want to outperform the competition. They're going to give you bigger profit splits than the competition as well. So profit splits we've seen grow from, as a baseline, 70%, now upwards of 90% on FTMO and MyForex funds when you can prove you're a long-term trader. And a lot of these funds have now added in large scaling plans, which means if you can trade successfully on your prop firm account, you can eventually scale that up over $1 million. So you could be trading with $1 million and keeping 90% of the profits you make on that account. Now, let's say you made 5% a month. That's $50,000 a month, and you are keeping 90% of that. So you're going to be making $45,000 a month from that account that you're trading. So that healthy competition in the market has actually given us a benefit as traders because we get the best of the best when it comes to the trading environments and the profits and account sizes, all of that. We get great service because all of these companies are competing with one another. So now let's talk about some of the drawbacks of a prop firm. Those are the 4 key benefits. There's a low barrier to entry. It forces you to build discipline and become a better trader. You don't get double taxed and you get competitive trading environments. But now there are some drawbacks as well. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Now, the first drawback I wanted to talk about is that they are definitely more stressful than trading on personal accounts. When you're trading with a prop firm, as mentioned, you do have those rules. You've got the risk limit rules. You've got the accountability aspect as well. And this is a little bit more stressful than if you're trading your personal money. Now, this is obviously on a case-by-case basis because some people may find it more stressful risking thousands of dollars of their own money than risking thousands of dollars of someone else's money. But it's the psychological stress you get from those risk rules. And when you have a losing day or your profit split date is set to one day in the month, and you want to get there in profit so you can get paid out, it's going to cause you a lot of unneeded stress that really personal accounts don't really give you due to the amount of freedom that you have on a personal account in terms of deposits, withdrawals, and position execution. Now, a drawback that's connected to that is kind of less freedom, right? When you're trading personal funds, I'm not saying freedom is always a good thing because if a maniac has freedom, they'll go crazy. But generally, you have more freedom when you're trading your personal accounts. This means you don't have to worry about closing trades before the weekend, which some prop firms will force you to do. You don't have to take certain lot size trades. You can do whatever you want. You can trade in your own way, and you don't really have any rules in place except for the rules that you build for yourself. So you get less freedom with a funded account, but obviously with the benefits of the low barrier to entry and that big amount of money that you get without putting much up front can weigh that out really. But you just have to keep in mind, you'll feel less free on a prop firm account than you would on a personal account. Now, there's also tax drawbacks. We spoke about the tax benefits previously in the benefits area, but now there are tax drawbacks to funded accounts. Now, one of these is if you are trading personal funds and you have other incomes, if you make a loss one month, let's say you lost $5,000 one month, you could generally write that off as a loss against your taxes. So you'd pay taxes for the year on $5,000 less profit than before you started losing that money, right? Now, on a funded account, let's say you lose money. Obviously, it's not your money that you're losing, so you're not going to take that financial hit. But let's say you don't get paid out then, and you miss a month of income, you can't actually use that $5,000 loss as a kind of tax write-off to alleviate some of the pain. So you are going to run into tax drawbacks as well as benefits. But really, I think the benefit of not being double taxed probably does outweigh this drawback of not being able to write off losses, because essentially it's not your losses anyway. It's not your money when you do have a losing month or a losing week. And one of the final and biggest drawbacks, in my opinion, is that it's possible and actually very easy to lose your funded accounts. Now, the reason that this is bad is because you can put a lot of months of work in and then simply lose it all before you even see a penny of profit. In fact, the statistics released by some of the funding companies suggest that this is what happens. Probably around 5 to 10% of people who take a challenge pass, and then only a couple of percent of those ever achieve the first payout. This means that you could go through a lot of work and you could put your hard-earned money down, get excited, get ready to hit the markets, and then if you have a bad month or you have a mental slip, your accounts are gone and you're back at square one. Obviously, if you have that mental slip with personal funds, you may lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this could be potentially better than having a mental slip with personal funds, but still it's a lot easier to lose, and you kind of always feel a little bit like you're sitting on the edge when you're trading with a funded account. So now we've been through the benefits and the drawbacks, what do I think? Should you trade for a prop firm? Well, it kind of depends on your personality, and it kind of depends on how many funds you have available at the time. It also depends on your level of experience. If you are a new trader, I definitely recommend obviously not rushing into trading with a prop firm because you'll probably lose your money. But if you practice, get ready for the markets, and then approach to a prop firm and try and get a challenge done and try and get your first account via a prop firm, you are now trading someone else's funds. So they are bearing the risk. You still have access to profit potential. And as mentioned as one of the benefits of prop firm trading, it's going to force you to become a better trader because you have that accountability. And if you don't trade well, you'll just get the account taken off you. So if you are a beginner trader, I would say your first goal, rather than trying to build a personal account, just for that extra accountability and that push of discipline and that push of skill building, I would actually go for a prop firm challenge, yes. So to most people, I am going to advise prop firms, and I would say that they're probably a good idea. They mitigate your risk, they allow you to avoid the double taxing, they are basically much cheaper to get into as well, and they are going to force you to become a better trader. So if you are trying to become a better trader, a prop firm may be the route to go. Now, some people a prop firm is not going to be good for. If you are a highly experienced trader with a lot of capital and you just prefer the freedom of a personal account, I would actually go there and I would just trade a personal account. Now, if you don't have loads of funds available, this is where you would then use a prop firm, right? So if you don't want to risk, your only $100,000, or you don't want to risk your only $50,000, which I would never do, by the way. I would never put 100% of my, net worth into a trading account. That's just asking for pain. I would actually then use a prop firm as a kind of way to get in and a stepping stone to build your personal accounts. This is actually the process that I'm in right now. I'm taking funding challenges and I'm running funded accounts, saving up these profits to then make my own personal account of a very large number. Now, I could by this point have a reasonably sized personal account, but I want a seriously big personal account before I start risking my own funds. At the end of the day, I love that freedom aspect of the personal capital, and I do have a personal capital account, but the majority of my large accounts are prop firm accounts because I'm currently still building, and I'm currently in the process of running up to a large account so that I can actually trade that full time without having to worry about prop firm rules, but while still making a very large amount of profit. So if you are pretty much any trader, prop firms can be good. Okay, they have their place and they can benefit everyone. If you're a beginner, they're probably the best place to go when you've built your skills up to a good level. And if you are an experienced trader, they're still going to be a good place to go to, but you obviously have the benefit as well if you do have the funds available to trade that personal capital and not worry about those accountability rules and not worry about the kind of interruption from the rules that the prop firms put in place. You're also going to have more freedom on your withdrawals, which obviously means you can get paid whenever, as opposed to having to wait for a specific payout date, as you usually do with the prop firms. So that is my verdict on whether or not you should trade with a prop firm. It's going to totally depend on you as a person, but for most people, prop firms definitely can be very good. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. I thought this was an important topic to talk about because when you are starting off in your journey, and as we're only starting off with the podcast's journey, this is one of the things you should consider. You need to have a game plan, and if you're building your game plan, now you know the benefits, the drawbacks, and the overall idea of prop firms and whether or not you should go for one. If you've enjoyed this podcast, head over to JeaFx.com. You'll be able to find my social links there to all the other free content I have out. There's a free trading course that you can join. You'll find that through my YouTube videos or the link on my Instagram page. which is at JeaFx_. I've helped over 800 students achieve their dreams in trading, many of which have moved on to become funded and achieve their trading goals. If you want to become one of those, head over to JeaFx.com and you can join my trading academy there. Hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.